Coming up on Network Africa. 10 people killed by roadside bomb in eastern border town of Burkina Faso. Death toll in the Boksburg gas tanker explosion rises to 18. Plus, 2 army officers arrested in Gambia over an alleged coup attempt on President Adama Barrow. Hello, welcome to the program. Today, I'm Amarachi Ubani in Lagos. We begin in Burkina Faso, where at least 10 people have been killed when a minibus hit a roadside bomb in the eastern region of the country. The incident happened on Christmas Day in a suspected Islamic extremist attack. Colonel Herbert Yumigo said in a statement that the minibus was traveling near the village of Boigi and close to the border with Niger on Sunday afternoon when it hit a landmine. While the injured were taken to hospital in Fada Ngoroma, the main town in the east, the rest of the passengers on the bus disappeared. A resident of Fada Ngoroma, who visited the people in hospital, said some of the severely injured had died and everyone was terrified. The government is trying to restore security to the area and locate the missing passengers. Violence linked to Al-Qaeda and the Islamic State group have racked the country for more than 6 years, killing thousands of people and displacing nearly 2 million others. The government's inability to stem the attacks led to 2 coups last year, with each junta leader vowing to make security a priority. However, attacks are continuing and large areas of land are being cut off by jihadists. From one tragedy to another, this time in Sudan, at least 16 people have been killed, 19 others injured when a passenger bus swerved off the road and slammed into a parked truck on a highway in the city of Omdurman. According to a police statement, the bus was heading to Khartoum from Fasher, a provincial capital of North Darfur province. Ambulances rushed to the scene to transfer the injured to the Omdurman hospital, while the dead were taken to the morgue. There's been no immediate word as to the cause of the accident. Traffic accidents are common in Sudan, often the result of badly maintained roads and poor enforcement of traffic laws. Thousands of people die every year as a result of road accidents. And it was a dark Christmas celebration for the South African city of Boksburg. Authorities say the death toll in the gas tanker explosion has risen to 18. The Gauteng Department of Health says 9 of the deceased are staff working at the Tambo Memorial Hospital, which suffered extensive damage due to the explosion. Scores of people are being treated for third-degree burns. A survivor of the explosion says herself and her children are still alive by the grace of God. Police arrested a 32-year-old driver. He's expected to appear in court on Wednesday. He faces charges of culpable homicide, negligence, and malicious damage to property. Atama Memorial Hospital is still not taking in new patients. It's calling on patients to use other facilities. Affected families are advised to visit the Germiston Forensic Pathology Services to identify their loved ones. Still in South Africa, the country's president, Cyril Ramaphosa, has called for harsh consequences for racists amid tensions in the Free State following an alleged racist incident. Incident occurred at the Massel Sport Resort outside Bloemfontein on Christmas Day, where 2 black teenage boys were seen being strangled and assaulted by white male adults. The incident has sparked widespread anger. A common assault case has since been opened at the local police station, despite the owner of the resort confirming the suspects are still residing there. A president spokesperson, Vincent Magwena, says it is deplorable that adults dealing with teenagers resort to violence with such disturbing ease, hurting people physically and offending provisions in our Bill of Rights around security of the person, including the right to dignity and being free of violence. Under the rule of law, we must let investigations take their course, but under the rule of law, we can and must also declare that racism has no place in our society and racists have no place to hide. We must defend our continuing national mission of ridding our society of the divisions and the hurts of our past. In the meantime, the South African power company Eskom has been battling with a crisis causing lots of outage across the country. The regulator says stage 3 cuts will be implemented today. According to social media posts, the heightened rolling blackouts will last until 5 a.m. on Wednesday, and will be repeated for the rest of the week, adding that a stage 2 load shedding will be implemented between 5 in the morning tomorrow and 4 p.m. daily. The embattled utility is appealing to the public to use electricity sparingly. Over recent months, sets of sturdy, brightly branded swapping stations have cropped up around Kenya's capital, Nairobi, allowing electric motorcyclists to exchange their low battery for a fully charged one. It's a sign of an electric motorcycle revolution that started to unfold in the country, where combustion engine motorbikes are a cheaper and quicker way to get around than cars. But environmental experts are saying it is also polluting the environment 10 times more.
East Africa's biggest economy is betting on electric-powered motorcycles. Its renewables-led power supply and position as a technology and startup hub to lead the region's shift to zero-emission electric mobility. The battery swapping system not only saves time, essential for Kenya's more than 1 million motorcyclists, most of whom use the bikes commercially, but also saves buyers money as many sellers follow a model in which they retain ownership of the battery, the bike's most expensive part.
Financial sense to the riders is that they have to, from the revenue they make, they have to save more, because that is the only way they can increase their income is by reducing the operational costs. And that's how we started looking at electric two-wheelers. And unfortunately, what we could find in the market, and the market here being China, was it was not really designed for the African market. And that is based on our experience from what we were able to order off the shelf to test. And to get a product that is able to meet our needs, we have had to go through 3 revisions, and this has given us a product that now meets all the needs for us as a business, as also the end customer.
EcoBoda has 50 test electronic motorcycles on the road now and plans to have 1,000 by the end of 2023, which it sells for about $1,500 each, roughly the same price as combustion engine bikes, thanks to the exclusion of the battery from the cost. After the initial purchase, the electric motorcycle is cheaper to run than petrol-guzzling ones. Goods and passenger transporter Kevin Makaria says with the normal bike, he would use fuel worth about 700 to 800 Kenyan shillings each day. But with this bike, a battery swap costs 300 shillings. EcoBoda is just one of several Nairobi-based electric motorcycle startups working to prove themselves in Kenya before eventually expanding in East Africa.
The sector's still really early. We're currently putting 120 bikes on the road. By the end of the year, we'll have 250 on the road with 700 e-bikes as well alongside them. So we'll be getting close to that 1,000 vehicles on the road point this year. Next year, we'll be building at least 6,000 to 7,000 electric bodas and also launching a personal commuter scooter product, which we're really excited about. We expect to do 3,000 to 4,000 of those as well for Nairobi. We're also expanding into Kampala, Dar es Salaam will be similar numbers on the road. So we're really going to go from a few hundred vehicles in 2022 to 2024, us going up to tens of thousands of bikes, and also in the whole sector as a whole, probably going up to around 100,000 plus electric bikes on the road across Africa within the next 2 to 3 years.
The country's power utility estimates it generates enough to charge 2 million electric motorcycles a day. Electricity access in the country is over 75%, according to the World Bank, and even higher in Nairobi.
In other news, Gambia security services have arrested 2 army officers suspected of being involved in a coup attempt against President Adama Barrow last week. The 2 officers, who have not been named, were arrested on Monday. It comes after the government said it has thwarted an attempt to stage a coup and arrest a group of soldiers who tried to overthrow the president, who won a second term in elections last year. The Gambia is largely a stable country in West Africa, which is popular with holidaymakers because of its beaches and its wildlife. West Africa's main regional body, the Economic Community of West African States, condemned the coup attempt in a tweet on social media. We're in the DRC now, where residents say fighting between the rebel M23 group and the army in the eastern part of the country has continued. The United Nations and the United States, the mostly ethnic M23 group is backed by neighboring Rwanda, which is mostly governed by ethnic Tutsis. Clashes began on Sunday in two clusters of villages called Bishusha and Tongo. A security source confirmed them and added that the army is still occupying its positions there. In the meantime, in Tongo and the surrounding area, about 50 people accused of collaborating with the Nyaturwa, which is a mostly ethnic Hutu Congolese militia, and the FDLR, which is a militia founded by mostly ethnic Rwandan Hutus, were kidnapped by the M23. Cyprien Ngorogore, a local leader, mentioned that about 15 people, including women, have so far been released, but at least 18 civilians accused of colluding with the two armed groups are still in the hands of the M23. Two relatives of some of those kidnapped say hostages were taken to the town of Rutshuru, currently considered one of the M23's bases. Going up to Tunisia, Finance Minister Sihem Boukdiri has unveiled a budget aiming to use new tax revenues to claw the deficit back to near 5% of gross domestic product as the cash-strapped country awaits an international bailout. The 2023 budget comes as the North African country grapples with eye-watering public debt, shortages of goods from sugar to petrol, and inflation at nearly 10%. Speaking to journalists, the finance minister says the latest plans aim to cut the budget deficit from 7.7% of gross domestic product to 5.2%, adding that the state, saddled with a crippling public wage bill and political sensitive subsidies, is set to take in around 46.4 billion dinars and will need to borrow some 23.5 billion dinars to cover state needs for the coming year. According to the fiscal plan, the country will seek more than $4 billion US dollars from overseas, as well as some $3 billion from local banks. Economy Minister Samir Said has predicted 2023 would be a very difficult year and inflation would hit 10.5%. We have more stories coming up after the break on Network Africa Plus. No, they're not warriors, they're just dancers. The dance carnival here in Nigeria helps residents reclaim the streets. We'll have details. Stay with us. Welcome back to Network Africa. And after days of torrential rain, salt miners watching in despair as flood waters breached a meters-wide gap on the banks of Senegal's Pink Lake and washed away thousands of dollars worth of salt mounds, which had been gathered earlier. Senegal, like other countries in West and Central Africa, has recorded above normal rainfall in recent weeks that has unleashed destructive floods after poor drainage systems failed.
The Pink Lake, separated by a strip of dune from the Atlantic Ocean, is situated about 35 kilometers from Senegal's capital, Dakar. It's one of the country's most visited sites and under consideration as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Officially known as Lake Reptba, it derives its pinkish hue from an algae that produces the colored pigment, and like the Dead Sea, it's also known for its high salt content. Babakaba is one of over 3,000 people who earn a living from the lake, including hundreds of divers who manually rake salt from the bottom of the lake, producing around 38,000 tons annually. As persistent rains drench Senegal, with around 126 millimeters recorded during one spell over the past weekend, according to the Water and Sanitation Ministry, drainage systems and retention reservoirs were quickly overwhelmed and channeled floodwaters towards the lake.
We support our families by working the salt. In this area of almost 20 meters, there was salt everywhere. The rainwater washed it away. Now those who can afford it pay excavators between 35,000 and 300,000 to move their salt, while those who cannot afford it pay women to work at a rate of 50 to 100 per basin, depending on the distance.
According to Senegal's Civil Aviation and Meteorological Agency, rainfall above 50 millimeters in the country is considered extreme. Abdoulaye Fati, a hydrologist and lecturer at Dakar's Cheikh Anta Diop University, says rising water levels in surrounding plateaus naturally poured into the low-lying lake. He added that the water could be contaminated.
To be honest, in Senegal, nobody can distinguish between rainwater and wastewater. Both flow together, and that can create health problems. Look in the neighborhood, you will see a quantity of water falling from the sky, and naturally, people will start to open their wastewater drains. So the rain will stop, and we will still see a 24-hour flow. And this is directly related to public health because the air is polluted. So everything you breathe is not good. So lung disease, coughing, all that develops.
With a month to go before the end of Senegal's June to October rainy season, other businesses around the lake, including restaurants and flatboats operators who take tourists on the lake, are counting their losses and worried about the future. Boat tours on the lake have become dangerous because the lake depth has increased.
Now, the Yuletide season is usually characterized by sharing of gifts. While that's popular with Boxing Day, a day after Christmas, many people choose to give days before or even days after Christmas Day. Shopping for what to give has not been business as usual this year in Nigeria, as the prices of gift items have surged following inflation and supply chain disruptions occasioned by the Russia-Ukraine war. But our correspondent, John Mekwa, reported that unlike before, gifts wrapped in hampers no longer appear to be a common sight.
It's indeed the season to be jolly. In Nigeria, the season comes with exchange of gifts, mostly captured in hampers. The culture has grown so much that online markets create special platforms, which is most active at the end of the year, to allow ordering and delivery of hampers. Offline supermarkets have over the years positioned themselves to satisfy this demand. With inflation at 21.47%, a dollar exchange is officially at above 452 naira, but is not accessible at over 700 naira at the parallel market. Petrol, which determines transport cost, is being sold at well above the regulated pump price of 165 naira for a litre. These macroeconomic factors mean that the cost of living and operating businesses have skyrocketed. The act of exchanging hampers has not escaped this.
We are trying to make it cheaper by getting products that are cheap, then we add them all together and then we sell it. Like for example, we have some 50,000 naira. Our profit is not that much. So we also try to make the baskets available because some people prefer to buy the goods themselves, the wrapper themselves, and then go home and then choose how they arrange the hamper themselves. So for the most part, we sell the already prepared ones. We also sell the baskets so that it makes people want to do the hamper by themselves rather than we charging them for the hamper.
In the open market, the picture is hardly different. Mrs. Davis, who always looks forward to a bumper sales at this time, is thankful for little mercies.
Things has really gone up. And you can't compare what is happening last year to this year. Last year, it was a little bit fair, but this year, it's not easy. Everybody knew it's not easy. It's not easy. It depends. The price varies from 20,000 upward. And before, we can see like 5,000 hampers. No matter, you cut your coat according to your size. But now, you can't even get hampers of 5,000. It's not even possible. Even though 10,000 is not, I don't think you can.
I'm basically into giftings at Christmas.
Mrs. Omonike George Ayudu would normally have hampers set for delivery at this time. According to her, if she had been stuck in this line of business, she would have lost out on revenue.
We cater to those that would like to give to like the less privileged, so they ask us to pack for them. So we pack in 5 kgs, we pack in 2.5 kgs, okay, and we help them in terms of to seal and all that. And of course, also we also do, now most of the vegetable oil companies, I don't want to mention names, most of the vegetable oil companies, they now have some of them in sachet. That plays a very big role in terms of how all of those giftings would come. And of course, like I said, most of those giftings come in food items rather than proper amper where you would have to require imported items and assortments that may not be in the immediate need of the people.
Nigerians, like many others around the world, are barely clinging on to the gesture of exchanging gifts at this time. Hopefully, the economy will become more buoyant and the hampers will make a bigger return in 2023. Ini John Mekwa, Channels Television News.
And onlookers, passers-by, art and dance lovers in Oworonshoki area of Lagos State all gathered for the 4th edition of the Slum Party. At an annual art event that aims to use dance to retell stories of community slums in Nigeria. Through their dance, which some might find scary, the founder believes it can definitely be used to bring some sort of attention to the communities, as well as inspire young ones. Take a look.
In a street in a rural neighborhood of Lagos, a bare-chested young man, Gift Eze, holds his screaming partner, helping calm the rage within and to stop him from fighting. They are a part of a group of performing artists at the 4th edition of Slum Party, using the Oworonshoki slum as a case study. 29-year-old Sunday Ozegbe Obiajulu is a creative artist and founder at Slum Party.
So we're using dance as a focal point to bring different disciplines in the performance art, literary arts, visual arts worlds to come to the community and just talk about various socio-political issues that needed to be addressed, using a party as the template.
Residents of Oworonshoki have seen their share of violence with robberies and tit-for-tat gang murders, once commonplace in this part of Nigeria's vast, buzzing commercial capital. It is a low to lower middle income residential community situated at the entry point of the 3rd Mainland Bridge in Lagos, Nigeria. Days of dance workshops culminated with an all-day carnival, aiming to reclaim the streets and reduce tensions between rival gangs. This year had dance professionals from Ghana, Cameroon and Nigeria teaching dance routines. Gift Eze, one of the Slum Party's participants, said the event has been transformational.
For the past years, I've been able to achieve a big goal in my life, and Slum Party has really changed a whole lot of me. I mean, in my way of creativity, my way of dancing, my way of thoughts, and every other thing. I mean, Slum Party is everything.
But the scene on Christmas Eve, a dance routine between two men, caked in chalk, showed how far the community has come since the annual Slum Party was established 4 years ago. Before long, onlookers were dancing along with the drums, blurring the lines between performers and their audience. In the last 4 years, Ozegbe Obiajulu says they have used the dance not just to bring back peace and tame insecurity in the community, but to get the attention of the government and also get invitations from in and outside Nigeria to perform. Ozegbe Obiajulu hopes the carnival's success could be replicated by people in other troubled areas of Nigeria and beyond.
It's quite interesting. Thanks for watching. I'm Amarachi Ubani.